Okay, cool. So hello, my name is Lukas Chrpa, and I will tell you something about action reversibility. It's a joint work with my colleagues Wolfgang Faber and Michael Morak from Klagenfurt. Now, just to give you a brief introduction into classical planning. In classical planning, we can describe environment by finite state variables. We have actions with preconditions and effects that say basically preconditions say what values of the variables has to be true before the action can be applied, and effects how values of the variables will change after action application. And actions and variables are coupled in what we call a planning domain, and a planning problem defines a specific initial state and a goal which we want to achieve. The problem of action reversibility is basically about finding a reverse plan back to the state after that action is applied. So formally, we say that action A is phi reversible if and only if for each state that entails formula phi, in which A is applicable, there is a sequence of action that transform the environment back to the state S, right? So that we reverse effect of the action. The other notion is uniform phi reversibility, and the difference is that we just swap quantifiers. So that here we are looking for a sequence of action, transforming the environment back to the state S for each state S that entails phi in which the action A is applicable. And lastly, we are talking about universal reversibility, and the action is uniformly reversible if it is uniformly phi reversible for basically each formula in which A is applicable. Now, we took an algorithm from our previous work and translated it from the strips representation to our state variable representation. I mean, the algorithm basically somehow is an adapted classical plan generation approach, which deals with partial states, and at the end it finds not only the reverse plan but also the formula phi in a conjunctive normal form that is basically associated with that reverse plan. The thing is that, these settings is kind of saying, well, we can reverse the action under certain condition, but we don't know the condition up front. So here in this paper, we were investigating a couple of special cases. We were looking at what we call the universal uniform action reversibility. And we proved that for actions in which basically all variables that are present in effects of the actions are also present in its precondition, that we say, or we found out, that the action is universally uniformly reversible if and only if there exists a reverse plan for the action, such that all the actions in the reverse plan operate only with variables that are contained in the precondition of the original actions that we are looking at the reversible plan for. So therefore, we have to only find a plan with a restricted number of action and in a restricted state space, because we only deal with variables which are in the precondition of the original action. Now, we were looking at the cases of uniform reversibility in which we know the formula phi up front, and if the formula phi is a conjunction of literals, that we can let's say transform that formula into a precondition of a dummy action A prime that has basically the same effects as the action A, but its precondition is basically represents the formula phi. And in such a case that we say that dummy action and prime is universally uniformly reversible if and only if the original action is uniformly phi reversible in the given domain. So thank you for your attention.